Hey everybody, welcome back to another super exciting Fix My List video. I'm always excited because we're fixing my favoriteest factions.
That's right, we're fixing the Chaos Super Faction. I figured I'd drag Nick on, he didn't need to be persuaded, and get him to help give me his own perspective on some of these Chaos lists.
Absolutely. So every single week on Thursdays we do a live show. It's called Fix My List. That's where we fix your list. Your list being if you're a War Room member. Of course, War Room members submit their lists. We go through and pull them. We rotate between the Super Factions, Chaos, Xenos, Imperium, and we pull them up and fix them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With a new Space Marine book on the horizon, I know people are excited. And I believe we're doing Space Marines next week. I could be wrong, but time to get them lists fixed up. You know, there's new detachments, all the new rules, new points even that dropped yesterday. Very excited.
So this week we've got a triad of lists for you. First we've got the Chaos Demons, my personal favoriteest faction ever. Then we've got the Thousand Sons, 1,000 of them. And then we've got the Death Guardians of the Galaxy, which I know we just did the build a list last week with Quentin and John, or myself and Quinn. Then Quentin played that list against John yesterday on our YouTube channel. So if you like your Death Guard, plenty of Death Guard content for you to check out here.
Absolutely. So we're going to go through and we're going to take a look at the lists, see where they might need a little bit of changes, see a different way to take them. And this isn't so much about each list individually, right? This isn't about fixing one person's list so they can go play. This is more about, you know, if you watch, you can see our thought processes when we fix lists, because this is what we do with our own lists. And then you can use that when you're fixing your list. But let's say you want to skip all that nonsense. You want us to fix your lists for you, okay? But you're not a War Room member. Oh no, you got to go down the link down in the description for the warroom.vhx.tv where you got a free 3-day trial. If you are a War Room member, you can submit your list to the Fix My List submissions channel in our Discord, and you can be chosen. It is possible. There's 3 lists every single week. Yours could be one of them. I know last week somebody submitted their friends list as a joke and thought it wouldn't get picked. Guess what? You were wrong. Any list can get picked.
Jack picks them. Jack snacks them. So if you want your list picked, check out that War Room membership. Not only will you get access to the ability to go into the Fix My List lottery, but you'll access to our Discord with tons of awesome content, like lots of people chattering, access to the world's best players at your fingertips, and tons of video content. Oh my god, we got 2 10-minute tips, a strategy session, 3 coaching games. Jack has got his theory videos on doing a Chaos series. John's got a Tyranid series. Siegs is doing Tau. Everyone's popping in this War Room, so you have got to check it out. It's free. It's free. It's easy. 3-day free trial right down below.
All right. Well, let's get into list numero uno.
Numero uno.
The Demons.
Like the video for some Demons, everybody. I like Demons. Subscribe for some Demons. Subscribe for Fate Weaver. All right. So, Demon Prince, Lord of Change with the Everstave. Demon Prince's Corn with Angrath, the King of Blades. Kairos Fate Weaver, man after my own heart. Renmaster on a Blood Throne, a Skullmaster, Selesky, Blue Scribes, 10 Pinkars, 10 Plague Bears, 4 units of Nurglings, 6 good old Blood Crushers, and a solo Burning Chariot.
Sounds good. Now, he had some comments here. I've been struggling a lot to put together a demon list that I like post-data slate. I took a list with Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, and War Dogs through GT and RTT, and it felt very meh. This is my last attempt for a Be'lakor list, so a list without Be'lakor, that is not just infantry spam before I jump factions. It includes some of my favorite pieces. I'd like to avoid Shalaxi and Bloodthirster if possible.
I'm okay with this.
Everything else is fair game, even Chaos Knight allies.
Wow. Okay, so I too have been exploring the world of Be'lakor-less demons. I think you do not need the big man on campus whatsoever. I think you have a real design choice to make, though, which is like, are you going to be a mission army or are you going to try to kill them? And if you're not taking Shalaxi or Bloodthirster, I think you made that decision.
Yes, because they do one thing very well, and it's kill your opponent. So, I mean, it sounds like we're firmly in your realm of expertise.
I do love my janky nonsense demons. So when I look at this list, and especially with the criteria set before me with no Shalaxi, no Be'lakor, no Bloodthirster, I would say we have definitely a mission-playing army. And I love seeing the 4 units of Nurglings there. They can make a very good fixed plan of deploy and teleport homers and behind enemy lines for your secondaries. You don't have to think about it. You just score it. Demons are also super good at tactical. No problem at all. Where I think this army list is probably going to struggle is primary. Because while you can use 3 inches away as a tactical tool strat to contest an objective, or, you know, weird deep strike shenanigans like deep strike charge, something like that, and steal objectives, eventually your lack of damage is going to come and bite issue is someone just parks 10 Terminators or something onto an objective, and you just like can't do a thing about it.
Is there a really good way to deal with that in a mission playing army, or are we trying to go around that problem?
That's a good question. So the way you could shoehorn answers in would be like not Be'lakor, Shalaxi Bloodthirster. The 6 Crushers is an interesting idea. One thing I think this list is trying to do is a little bit too wide. Lord of Change, Fate Weaver, Burning Chariot is a great little shooting package.
So what you mean there is we're trying to take a Blood Crusher bomb, and we're trying to take a bunch of Tzeentch stuff, and we're trying to take some mission play, and we're not like focused down on one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to have your army concept, and I think you need to supplement it. I think this is like the Burning Chariot provides ignores cover to your 2 shooting guys. The Lord Change provides +1 strength to your 2 other Tzeentch units. Then we've got the Renmaster who buffs 1 of your 2 Khorne units or 3 Khorne units. You're going very deep in the demon synergies, but also so shallow with it that it's like not effective.
So yeah, we're taking one combo here, right? The Renmaster can buff any Khorne units against a target, and he can do it every turn, but he only has one target. He has the Skullmaster and Blood Crushers, and then I guess himself and a Demon Prince.
So it's not that we have. It's almost the opposite problem, right? Like, if you're going to go with Khorne, in my mind, you want, like, 2 Runmasters, maybe even 3, to buff 2 to 3 Khorne units, and that way if one dies, your units don't start sucking. Right now, you're able to play with 1 of your Khorne units buffed up per turn, then the Runmaster is a target, and whatever. And then your firepower is okay, but, like, that ignores cover from the Burning Chariot doesn't help often. It makes a difference sometimes.
Yeah, these feel very one-use.
Yeah, very one-use. That's a great way to put it.
The Burning Chariot will turn off your opponent's cover, and then they get shot by Lord Change and Kairos Fateweaver one time, and then the Burning Chariot gets killed. Or the Renmaster will buff up, debuff a target to get murdered by Blood Crushers and Skullmaster, or the Demon Prince, and then that'll happen one time, and then they can deal with the Renmaster pretty easily. Or they have the opportunity to do it, right? Like, if you get to do it a second time, that's really on your opponent.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think we need to kind of decide, are we going to play a mission-style army that has, like, some shooting to support it with the damage characteristics, or are we going to play, like, a damage-dealing army that has mission support, and the damage dealers would probably go up to, like, double Blood Crusher, keep Fate Weaver, Lord of Change combo, because you need some guns, and then invest more heavily in Khorne. Take things like the Plague Bearers out, the Burning Chariot out, don't invest as much in the Tzeentch, just get the gun box checked, and then invest heavy into Khorne for damage.
So you're thinking Lord of Change, Fate Weaver, and then we're done shooting.
I think there's 2 directions you can go. That's definitely one of the 2 directions.
Okay.
The other direction will be minimize the Khorne stuff, deeper into shooting. So either you're going to be combat with mission play and then shooting because you need shooting, or you're going to be a shooting army with mission play and then like combat because you need combat.
So you're looking to be like 20% of your list or 30% of your list is going to be scoring, right? With Nurglings, troops, whatever.
Yep.
And then in the remaining 70-80%, 20% of that is going to be either Khorne or Tzeentch, and the remainder is going to be the other one.
Yeah, right now I think we are like this the right 20-ish, 30%-ish ratio of scoring stuff, but then we are 50% Tzeentch, 50% Khorne, and I think you're half-assing both.
Okay, so which one do you want to lean into? I personally think myself, I'm not a demon expert here, but personally to me, the one that scales better looks like Khorne.
I agree.
The Tzeentch one, we basically have the 2 good shooting units you can take. Yeah. Right?
If you try to scale Tzeentch, it would look like something like take more Burning Chariots, because they're just like kind of effective, and then take more Lords of Changes. And then take things like 10-man pink horrors in mass to like show up 3 inches away and move block somebody so you keep your guns from getting engaged in close combat while you're actually scoring points with those pink horrors.
Yes.
That would be the baseline strategy. Alternatively, you take Khorne units, scale the Khorne damage up, and hit people.
I feel like a Lord of Change and Fate Weaver is most of the good that we're going to get out of that Tzeentch list by itself.
Yeah, your damage falls off hard after those 2.
Yeah, you can take extra damage, they're just not nearly as good, right? If you could take multiple Lords of Change with the Everstave, then we're jamming here, but you can't.
Right.
And you can't take multiple Kairoses as much as that makes Nick sad. So, what does that look like?
So if we're going to go Khorne, I think we can just delete the Burning Chariot. That's 115. I don't really love the Plague Bearers at all. They're kind of durable OC2. If you're going to do Plague Bearers, in my mind, you actually want to go down the Nurgle rabbit hole, and I don't think that's what this is trying to do at all.
No.
So I would cut the Plague Bearers. In terms of Nurglings, 4 squads is a fine starting point. I don't really have any issue with that. They're cheap, they score, they do their things.
Yeah. If they weren't 35 points, I would really want to cut them, or cut one unit. Because, like, four like guarantees that you're going to do what you want to do, which is nice.
4 does that while screening, which is kind of why I like 4.
That's fair. That's fair. And then you can pick them up and put them in your opponent's deployment zone with a 3-inch away. So, and the fact that you can go 3 inches away largely means your opponent won't screen you, which means you won't have to go 3 inches away, and you can use that elsewhere. You don't have to spend CP, etc.
So here's where I'm trying to go with the list, and points will have to dictate whether or not we can. I would like to see 2 Runmasters, 2 Skullmasters, 2 6-man Crushers as like the corn package, and one of those probably rapid ingresses, and one of those probably deploys. And you're basically just saying, don't come near me on turn 1, because otherwise you're going to walk into this nasty charge, and you're letting yourself set up while the other one ingresses and starts getting the game going.
So, how do we feel about the Demon Prince with Argath?
Mixed feelings. Leaning towards not worth it, but I definitely acknowledge we have a damage issue.
True.
This is, in my mind, that's where the points are going to come from. And Frog Crushers, because of their durability compared to the Prince's durability, are just way better.
So Argath gives him +1 attacks and strength, and then +2 attacks and strength while he's in Shadows of Chaos. So that takes him up to, theoretically, 8 attacks at strength 10, AP2, damage 3, which is not...
No, it's harder, because the Corn Mark actually starts you at base strength 10.
So 8
you're
attacks at strength
11,
12.
and then going up from there.
So 7 attacks at strength 11, and then 8 attacks at strength 12 if you're in Mark of Chaos. That's not bad.
And then also, once per game, a Chaos Demon Prince can just pop its ability for +3 attacks. So then you are 11 attacks, strength 11, AP2, 3 damage. That's what he's trying to do. Then you can spend 1 command point for an extra point of AP, and then you can choose lethal, precision, or sustained hits.
Here's my question. We could take one with Wings. Wings is, I believe, 5 points cheaper, does not give out a stealth aura.
In my mind, he had wings.
He does not.
He does not.
He does not.
Yeah.
It's 5 points cheaper, doesn't give out a stealth aura, does not get the 3-up info once a game. Mm-hmm. But in exchange, what he does, so the one with wings doesn't do any of that. What he does is once per game at the start of the fight phase, you get +3 attacks. Mm-hmm. And every time you fight, you can either get lethal hits, precision, or sustained hits 1.
So this is, again, going back to my original kind of hypothesis for this list, that it's trying to do 2 different things. If you're going to do Corn Prince, give him wings, let him hit. If you're going to do Footprint Stealth, go for more Lords of Changes, give them all stealth, move block people, shoot them for turn after turn after turn, have stealth so you don't get shot back as hard. Probably make that guy foot, make him Nurgle for defense, actually.
I quite like switching this guy to wings and just letting him slam, because he hits substantially harder.
If we're going to go Corn direction, 100%. The question is then going to become points, because his defense is still just a Demon Prince. He's going to be a one-hit wonder for sure. And
I mean, if you, he's like a really, really good skirmish piece at that point, in that he'll delete absolutely anything he hits, and like...
He's half a Schlaxy. That's basically what you want to look at him as.
Yeah. I think if you're going to take a Demon Prince, I think you take with wings. Because he goes faster, and he hits way harder.
Yeah, I think the only place a Footprints has is like, I'm going defense mode stealth, and that's not what this army's doing. No. Demons don't really stat check that effectively.
No, they can, I mean, I guess, but that's not very effective. I like to stat check people after
a certain point, because there's like, around turn 4, you don't have time to kill 4 big monsters. We're not even doing 4 big monsters, we're doing 2 as of right now, so we're definitely not stat checking.
So if we do that, we get 5 entire points. We could cut him in the future. There's definitely room for that. If we take the build as it currently sits, and we add what you asked for, right?
Yeah.
Another squad of blood crushers. Oh, let's not move that. And then we add another Skullmaster. Do we need Skullmasters in every unit? If the answer is yes, it's yes. I just don't know.
I like them in every unit. I think they're pretty worth it. They make everybody take battle shocks when you charge, which of course in Demons you're at -1, and there's pain when you take battle shocks. You take D3 mortals. Additionally, Blood Crushers charge in and roll 1 dice for every model in the unit. On a 4-up, you take a mortal. Or you take D3 mortals, so it's just adding to the mortal charge kind of situation. And then your whole idea is trying to get people to fail some battle shocks so you can dominate primary a little better.
Absolutely. I mean, there is always room for the Demon Prince of the super Demon Prince of Nurgle, like the really, really super durable one.
So I think you put him in on foot, and you just let
Yes.
him be the stealth buff
Yep.
for all your shooting monsters.
And then
which we're
he's
not taking.
stealth with high toughness and whatnot.
No one's killing him. It's harder now to kill your Lord of Changes for all the entire game.
But that's not really what this list is trying to do.
We're not building that one.
Right. So this list right here with 2 6er Blood Crushers, 2 Skullmasters, 1 Rendmaster, this entire list right here comes out to 2090.
2090. That's not terrible.
No, that's solvable for sure.
So one way we could solve it, there's a lot, is you cut the Prince, you cut 1 unit of Nurglings, and you replace that 240 point package with another 150 point Runmaster, and that's 90 points saved right there.
That would be. The other, is there like a hold your backfield unit that is?
It's called Sticky the Objective turn 1, put 3 Nurglings back there.
I like that.
That's the answer.
That's pretty good. Could we cut the pink horrors and get something for them?
I think the pink horrors are a really useful tool. I'm hesitant to. There's a lot of times where I like to just OC dump somebody, and pink horrors take a long time to chew through.
They do. I don't want to advocate cutting the Blue Scribes or Selesky.
They're
Both incredible.
They're incredible.
Do we need Skullmasters in both units?
You could cut one. You could cut one. I don't love it. You could. If you're cutting both of them, I would go farther. I would cut both of them and a third Nurgling and take 18 Crushers. Because at that point, you're just doing stats a little bit.
That's not quite something we can afford, unfortunately, because we are currently at...
Oh, yeah, we're 90 points over.
2090.
Right.
But I don't hate taking just 18 Crushers instead of that and just having bodies.
Do we think we're getting a little bit carried away from this is a real person with model constraints?
Possibly. I mean, he said anything's on the table.
Anything's on the
I also just don't think that's better. So,
Yeah.
I like the Demon Prince with wings. He is definitely the part of this package that does not, isn't cohesive with the rest of it.
No,
he's just kind of a solo
beater. Yeah,
he's a lone up.
This army doesn't mind. He's not actually
lone
up, but he can hide and then move 12 and hit somebody.
He's not actually lone up. It just means he's off by himself doing his own thing, which is pretty good, but it doesn't synergize with the rest of the list. So,
alternatively, just to like theorize what that other build would look like, it would be like replace both Blood Crusher units with 2 more Lords of Changes, replace both Skullmasters with 2 Burning Chariots, turn the Prince into the Footprints version, and then you're simply trying to find 90 points.
Yeah, the Footprints with like the 4-up Feel No Pain and Nurgle and whatnot, and he's just giga tanky.
Yeah.
So for this one though,
Yeah.
I like the HQ package that we have.
So if we cut the Prince, just straight cut him out, then we have how many points left?
If we straight up just cut the Prince, we have 125 points.
There's not much you can do with that. You can basically put those Plague Bearers back or take 10 Blue Hearts. I like Blue Hearts, especially in Demons contextually because they get shadows going in midfield, but I don't know if this list is really trying to care about that.
I really want one more thing to hit your opponent with because I feel like we have 2 missiles, right, in the 2 Blood Crusher units.
The Rendmasters do hit. Now, nowhere near as hard as that Demon Prince, and we do have like a very tough thing problem. Our answer for tough things right now is basically put the buff on it and then smack it with 6 Blood Crushers.
Yes, that's our one answer, pretty much. I mean, we could try and get a second Rendmaster in. That's 25 points.
That's just the Nurgling unit.
Yeah, it's just a Nurgling unit. I don't hate that. I do think we need to find points to get a third melee threat in.
It would have to be the Prince. There's like not options in Demons. Or Shalaxi or a Butters or that kind of stuff.
Got it.
To do that, it would be cut a Skullmaster. And then, like I said, it kind of takes me down the rabbit hole of what if we cut both the Skullmasters.
I mean, what we could do is just cut the Skullmaster and put the Prince back in.
We could just do that.
That would be a thing we could do, right? Because we have 90. We're 90 points over. We cut this guy, we get 15, and
let's just revisit the Skullmaster. What is he actually giving the unit?
Yes, good question. So, in terms of abilities, he gives...
He himself is basically 2 Blood Crushers glued together with some damage 3 in there.
Yeah, he hits pretty hard. And then every time his unit ends a charge move, their Juggernaut horns get devastating wounds. And everybody within engage range takes a battle shock.
So the part I love about that is like the Crusher bases. They're so wide and big and multi-assaulty, and then like take 4 battle shocks on 1, 2, 3, 4 units. You know,
at -1.
at -1.
Yeah, it's
And then each one he fails D3 mortals, also charge mortals. Yeah, it's the whole package. But I hear you. We are 90 points over. You know?
We are 90 points over, and I really would like to keep the Demon Prince with wings, just running around a flank by himself, just cleaning up every unit in his way, and then eventually smashing into their backlines. I don't know. What direction are you leaning?
I'm leaning cut the Skullmaster for sure.
Just cut one.
Cut one, then we have 15 left, which we could just leave it there, or we could. I'm trying to think if there's things worth massaging, but not really. Like you could take the 6 Crushers into 3x5 Flesh Hounds, and I think that's worse.
Yeah. I really like having one unit that really hits, one unit that hits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, they both really hit with the Renmaster. I don't trust one Renmaster because honestly, the buff for him requires line of sight and 18 inches visibility. So your opponent can play around that. If there's 2 and one's in reserve, it's much harder.
And this would feel a lot better if we had, an extra 200 points
What
something.
if we go further, cut the second Skullmaster, cut the Nerdlings, and then we just don't do Skullmasters and we take the second Renmaster?
So we just have 2 Ren Masters
2
and
6 Crushers, Prince.
I mean, that works.
Because, I mean, I like the Skullmaster. He does add a lot to the Crushers.
But the Ren Master adds more.
The Renmaster does add more. If you think it's the Renmaster as a character upgrade, I think he adds more. Plus, he's his own unit that does stuff. And he himself, how hard does he hit?
So he hits pretty decently hard, if I remember correctly. He has 4 attacks at 522 and 5 attacks at 623.
Yeah, he's pretty hard hitting.
Hits pretty hard, and then
himself, of course.
Every time he makes a melee attack that targets a character or monster, reroll wound rolls. And then every time he destroys an enemy character or monster, he regains D6 lost wounds. And he has the effect to pick an enemy unit within 18 inches invisible. And then every time a Khorne demon unit makes an attack that targets that unit, improves strength, AP, and damage by 1. So he can buff himself, go in, reroll wounds, and just be like, you're dead. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And he's also, I believe, a character. So, yep, he's a character. So he can precision 1 CP, precision strike, and strike out a character in there.
Yeah, and this will put us in 1995, right?
I believe so. Let me just fiddle with this a wee amount. I believe I need to cut a Nurglings and then put back in a Demon Prince. And yeah, that should put us in 1995.
Excellent. So I think that's probably as good as we're going to make this iteration of the list, to be honest. I'm still curious, just hypothetically for conversation, if we cut both Blood Crusher units, that pretty much flat becomes 2 Lords of Changes, should we want to. We'd be 40 points over. Then we'd cut both the Renmasters down to Burning Chariots, and then we'd have like 10 points left. Prince becomes the other Prince, which is more or less the same cost. And I think that list would pretty much swap in places for itself. Just Crushers become Lords of Changes, Renmasters become Burning Chariots, Angry Prince becomes Defense Buff Prince.
Yes, you take 3 Lords of Change and Fate Weaver buffed up by a Nurgle stealth boy that cannot be killed.
And then make them ignore cover with 2 Burning Chariots to help skirmish.
Yeah, I think that would be what looks... Honestly, I don't know if Tzeentch wants Khorne.
Tzeentch doesn't really want Khorne like at all, except that you might want some combat.
Khorne does want some shooting in it, and that's what you get. Now, what you could do is you could go further here, and you could cut Lord Change and Fate Weaver, get 6 more Blood Crushers, get like a Skullmaster or 2 or something. And honestly, you might just run the Skullmasters by themselves.
You could. So the thing that I really hate with that only combat list, and I've thought about that a lot because I was thinking about the 21 Crushers for Crucible the other week. There are just some units you're never going to get to in close combat because basic screens and your army doesn't move through walls and things of that
Some
nature.
armies Phantasm.
Some armies Phantasm. And then you just can't take a unit of 10 Wraith Guard for 5 turns.
No.
Yeah.
No, they will delete like...
Especially while you're being triple Night Spinnered, you're just going to have problems.
Yes.
So you need some guns to keep people honest.
True. I think this is roughly where we want to end up. I do like the Renmaster significantly more than the Skullmaster. And taking both is a lot of support for 1 Crusher.
Yeah, and you're paying... The best thing the Crushers provide is their defense. Like, the fact that they hit is nice, but it takes real effort to chew through them. And the way you want to play this army is not, here, let me jam my army straight at you. Demons really just don't do that effectively. Other armies do play that army better. but they can control tempo of the game, like not give you any targets turn 1, still score all their points, not give you any targets turn 2, still score all their points, then here's some crushers, you chew on that, here's some more crushers, you chew on that. They're picking and choosing their battles while getting close to a hundo.
Absolutely. All right. So give that a shot. Let us know how it works out.
Awesome. Eglados, hopefully I didn't butcher that. Thank you so much for your submission. Demons for life. Do not switch factions. I'll be super sad.
All right. We've got one of Thousand Sons and his Thousand Sons list.
Wow. He's exactly one of the sons. Which one is he?
The 79th one.
The 79th.
Not the 69th, 79th.
He's one of the originals. He's
That's right.
In the top 100.
He's the 425th one.
So, Jack, you're our Thousand Sons resident expert. What does his army do? What is his army?
Okay. Well, so we've got Magnus the Red. We've got Armon on foot. We've got a Terminator Sorcerer with the Teleporting Crystal. We've got a Demon Prince on foot with Lord of Forbidden Lore. I do actually quite like the Demon Prince on foot. We've got an Infernal Master with Arcane Vortex. Again, has my seal of approval on that one. We've got 3 units of Rubric Marines with Inferno Bolt Guns, which might be just a... which might just be the generic option, or might not. You can take both. We got 10 Cultists, one of the only things that went down in the Balanced Data Slate. We got 10 Scarab Occult Terminators. We've got a Forge Fiend, and we've got Zangor Enlightened. And yes, that Forge Fiend is 135 points.
I noticed that. They don't get lethal hits, sustain hits 5s, full rerolls to wound, dev wounds, but they are still a Forge Fiend.
They do not reroll hits and wounds, do not get sustained or lethal or devastating wounds. But they're still a Forge Fiend. Yes, they are substantially worse, but they're also substantially cheaper. 45 points cheaper.
I would look at Forge Fiends at 135 with no rules added on. Absolutely.
Yes, they have a rule added on. I think you take a Battle Shock test when you're hit. Or it's either a Battle Shock or it's -1 to hit. One of them's World Eaters, one of them's Thousand Sons.
So, Jack, with my untrained Thousand Sons eyes, my single Thousand Sun eye, I see Magnus, I see 10 Terminators, I see a Demon Prince, which is so many points, then a Forge Fiend, even more points. Your minimum 15 rubrics with probably not enough character support, but I don't know. And then just a token 3 Enlightened and 10 Cultists. I feel like this list is very top-heavy, all in on Terminators, Magnus, also a Prince and Forge Fiend, but... not enough taking advantage of Cabals and the jank that Thousand Sons brings to the table. But I know there's a lot of different ways to run the faction.
Yeah, so this has a lot of one-off pieces. So we have Magnus, who is great and is going to be the focal point of basically every Thousand Sons list forever and ever, amen. Because he's amazing. He's great. Love Magnus. Then we've got Armon on foot, who... Let's take a look at our Cabal points. That's the first thing I think we need to look at. So Magnus is 4, Armon is 3 for 7, Terminator is 2 for 9, Demon Prince is 2 for 11, Feral Master is 2 for 13. We have 3 Rubric squads and a Scarab Occult Terminator unit. That is 17. 17 is a pretty good number. 17 is pretty solid. But let's look at our characters. We have Armon on foot. Why is he here? Well, the main reason I can think that he's here is because he gives us 3 Cabal points.
And makes a ritual free.
And he makes a ritual free. Unfortunately, he went up significantly in cost, more than most in the Codex.
He seems pretty good, though.
He himself has a gun that can be described as existing.
Yeah.
And that's the nicest thing I can say about it.
He's not here for anything besides 3 Cabal points and a free ritual.
And at 130, I think he's a little too pricey for that. For example, for 90 points, it used to be 75, you can get an Infernal Master who gives you 2 Cabal points every turn and has a very good gun.
Right.
So that's 40 points cheaper.
Save points, get a gun, lose a Cabal point. But doesn't Ahriman, functionally give you 12 Cabal points because you just take someone's armor save away or move somebody twice or something?
He is quite good. If you're going to do that, I would say take him on disc.
Right.
Because then you can double move him, and you can't. Then you could take someone's armor away, or you can do a bolt and do that twice. He's good at that, but he is not nearly as good as he used to be at that. I personally think if you don't have the option of really attaching him to a unit that's going to do damage, I don't really know if I want him. Now, he also moves slower than an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. He doesn't do the slowing effect that an Exalted Sorcerer on disc has, and an Exalted Sorcerer on disc has a great gun.
Yeah.
So if you really want to spend for a disc guy, an Exalted Sorcerer on disc is 25 points cheaper than him on a disc.
Right.
I would not run him on foot.
Yeah.
I'd run him on a disc, or I'd run someone else.
Now, if he's on disc, can you join anybody?
If he's on disc, yes, he can join rubrics.
So what's the point of putting him on foot?
You save 10 points.
You save 10 points, okay.
So the reason you would put him on a disc, in my mind, is because he's infantry on that disc, which means he can run through walls, get double moved, see your opponent, drop 2 CP on your Psyker models, fire psychic weapons at them, and out of the line of sight, and then can turn off their armor save.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal. It is. But you can also do that with an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. And what the Exalted Sorcerer on disc has is a good gun and the ability to slow your opponent down. Half move, half advance, half charge.
Yeah.
So I think that Ahriman is probably superseded by some of the other options. If you want a guy who sits back and generates Cabal points, I'd probably go with an Infernal Master. And if you want a guy who can run forward and do disc boy stuff where he gets line of sight to your opponent and blows them up, then I would probably take an Exalted Sorcerer on disc, because you can also run him out at the end of the movement phase, slow your opponent, and then start your shooting phase, double move him behind a wall.
So to me, and again, I don't play Thousand Sons, but to me, I feel like the Infernal Master is its own piece, where it's like the super value character joins a unit, makes it awesome. The disc guy is its own piece, where it goes on these suicide missions, scores you points, sees something, blows you up. And Ahriman is its own unique piece, not trying to do what the other two are doing, but he just says value cabals, free cabals, and that may or may not be worth it in comparison, because you can't just take everything times infinity, but it is unique, right? Just saying here's a free 9 cabal point thing or 7 cabal point thing, it's free.
It is. So there's 2 roles you can assign him. One is sit back and generate Cabal points, and in that case I think an Infernal Master is just better at that.
Yeah.
Especially for cost, or you could take a Hellbrute. And I honestly don't think the Hellbrute's that great, but the Hellbrute does give you more Cabal points than Ahriman will.
Because while you're making one free, you're reducing the cost to like 6 or 7.
Yeah. The Hellbrute realistically gives you like 3 or 4 extra Cabal points every single turn. And that's pretty nuts. So, as is, I think... I mean, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on the Ahriman thing.
I'll trust your good judgment here.
I think Ahriman, if you take him on a disc, he is very expensive... and he does one thing one time, and then after that, not so much.
Yeah, and he's pricey. I got you.
He's quite pricey. He's not bad. He's a solid inclusion, but I personally think if you put him on a disc, he's superseded by the Exalted Sorcerer. Because an Exalted Sorcerer can just blow people out with a half move thing, turn after turn after turn, and then can go yard and turn off armor saves.
So what do you want to do with this army list?
So with this army list, I wanted to go through it first. So we have a Terminator Sorcerer with the Umbrellific Crystal as part of Terminators. I love that package. It's a little pricey now, but it is quite solid. We have a Demon Prince on foot who I quite like. Demon Prince,
right?
No, this Demon Prince is an aura of stealth, and he can give Terminators or Rubrics precision on their guns one time.
Ooh, that's nice.
Which is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. It probably goes up less often than I would think, but still pretty good. And Infernal Master Arcade Vortex is basically a gun guy. Now, the Forge Fiend is a one-off, one shooting unit with no support. And that might be fine at 135, but I really like Infernal Masters as shooting units with support, because they support the Rubric Marines.
Yeah, to me, the Forge Fiend at 135 is it sits on its own. It also screens an area of the table, maybe holds a backfield objective and just shoots a gun and hope that gun does something. I don't know that that's a job Thousand Sons care about.
Not as much. They're able to deal with things that just walk into line of sight.
Right.
The problems you have to get around, especially with Terminators, right? Terminators will delete anything that walks in front of you.
It could outflank and give you a different threat vector.
It's not nearly as reliable as the Chaos Space Marine.
No, I do that with mine. I'm undivided rerolls, I'm sustained hits, and dev wounds, and something dies. This guy comes in and something gets tickled.
Yes. So I personally think we're going to cut it, because what we want to try to solve is the problem that people can avoid line of sight on us.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Thousand Sons, more than most, don't have a great answer to that, so we need to find ours where we can.
It's a great value piece, but we are too expensive of an army to be trying to shoehorn value pieces for sake of value in.
Especially with Terminators, right? Terminators plus Magnus is a solid 1,010 points or something, 1,005 points.
Yeah. The rest of the army needs to be very deliberately supporting it, not just this is cheap.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace Ahriman with an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. He can join Rubrics if necessary to give him a 4-up invuln, but he can also do the yo-yo, where you hop him out from a wall, half move on your opponent, and then start of the shooting phase, hop back behind that same wall. And that is pretty nuts.
Who does that?
The Exalted Sorcerer on disc.
Yeah, take him.
Yeah.
That seems great.
He's very good.
I love my going back yo-yo tricks. Oh, so it's 5 Cabal points to move, and then 5 to move again. So that's 10 of the 17 that we started with.
No, he walks out in the movement
He
phase.
walks out and then just comes back.
And then just 5 Cabal points, he comes back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can also, he also gives you one guy to be able to go double move forward, and then spend 2 CP to call down Magnus and the Terminator Sorcerer and the all the sergeants.
Can you do that with anybody, or
you have to get line of sight to them, and the Exalted Sorcerer on disc moves further than Armand, so he moves 12, and he is an infantry model, so he can walk through walls.
I meant who can you make walk multiple times? With
Anybody.
Anybody, okay.
But he is good because he's a fly infantry model with a high movement characteristic.
He's fast.
So he go quick.
You don't care if he dies. I mean, you care, but you don't really care.
You don't care if it gives you a line of sight on a Tau army.
Yeah,
right. If you get line of sight on a Tau crisis brick that's trying to hide, and you call down Magnus plus the Terminator Sorcerer plus the Demon Prince. Demon Prince doesn't have a gun that works for it, but plus the Infernal Master, multiple maybe, plus every sergeant in your army, that unit is going to be hurting quite badly.
Definitely.
So that is a really good thing to at least have in your pocket. Now, while you have that, it combos really well with the Rhino. I'm going to see if that's a thing that we can really bring into this list, because he's infantry. He can go in the Rhino. You park the Rhino, and then he just goes, and no amount of indirect will kill him. Now, indirect has kind of fallen a little bit out of the game right now.
Yeah.
With the notable exceptions of any Whirlwind aficionados out there, or the Night Spinners. In that matchup, you can deep strike him in, and then double move.
A Blitz will do it once per game.
A Blitz will do it once per game. But Blitz probably have a Magnus-shaped problem on their hands. Scaraboccle Terminator-shaped problem on their hands.
Yeah.
So I think we have the damage. We need the support. So this list has 150 points left. What kind of support can we get in here? I would really like a little more Cabal points, and I would like some more scoring trash, because we don't have a lot of nonsense to run around the board.
When I look at this army, the only thing I can think of to save us points would be messing with the core, which would be Magnus Terminators, or cutting that Prince.
So first things first, I think I'm going to melt some cultists down and turn them into
More Enlightened. Side grade city.
That's right. So Enlightened have the effect of being able to use double move very well, because you can double move and score secondaries.
And not get overwatched.
And you can come out of reserves and do it. So it's almost impossible to stop, as long as you are, within range. That leaves us with 120 points left. With 120 points, we have probably the ability, we could get a second Exalted Sorcerer on disc.
Yeah, just have the yo-yo twice or in 2 different places.
Yo-yo twice. He does a decent amount of damage on his own. We could get an Infernal Master in here. I think with 120 points, I would probably get a second Exalted Sorcerer.
Okay.
They're just good.
We're not feeling like anything like Mutalith Vortex Beast, Demon Allies, Rhinos, anything like that.
So Mutalith Vortex Beast, unfortunately, is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And
doubling range of Cabals, though.
Doubling range of Cabals is quite good. That matters less in this list because we have 10 Terminators. We're building around that. We're not trying to, bomb people from 36 inches. We're trying to shoot them, and then the Terminators will do that.
Yeah.
Now, what we could do is pretty easy. We just take 3 Zangor Enlightened and turn it into the Blue Scribes.
I do love me a Blue Scribes.
Yes, the Blue Scriblios are pretty good, and that leaves us with 100 points even, which at that point is not an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. That could be one of 2 things. It could be a regular Exalted Sorcerer or an Infernal Master. I know which one I like, and I think it's going to be the Infernal Master.
Yeah, I like those. The 2d6 shot flamer Devlins is nice. Blanking and fixing saves is great. Adding these guys.
They also just guaranteed flip a die to a 6.
Yeah.
So they're just really good damage, honestly.
Good damage, good defense. They're just good. Good Cabal points. It's one of those little nifty buy finds. They're 90? Oh my god.
Yeah, they used to be 75.
They were way too cheap.
Yeah, they were. It used to be 75 plus 95 for a grand total of 170 for 5 rubrics and Infernal Master, and it was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I personally like Flamers on the rubrics, but that's a personal choice sort of thing. Both of them are correct. The only other thing we could consider melting down would be this Demon Prince.
To me, I like the Flying Prince that teleports for secondaries just happening, because like that guy going into an area where your opponent isn't dealing with it, he just lives and then he goes and does something else. I like that more than stealth personally, but I don't know if this army needs stealth to like really stay alive.
Well,
alternatively, just more stuff is fine.
So Lord of Forbidden Lore is very good, and Lord of Forbidden Lore needs to go on somebody.
What is Lord of Forbidden Lore?
Lord of Forbidden Lore, glad you asked, thank you, Nick, is you can do a ritual even if somebody else has done that same ritual in that phase.
That's the whole sauce. Why don't we just move that to an Infernal Master?
We can. We can move it to an Infernal Master. You can also move it to a Thousand Sun Sorcerer who can't be shot outside 18. I feel like that is probably teching a little too much, so you could put it on Infernal Master and be totally fine.
And then we have 180 instead of the 25. Well, I guess, yeah, we're 2,000 exactly right now, so we have 180.
No. We are, we're 1990.
1990. So we have 190 points.
If we cut the Demon Prince?
If you cut the Prince, but keep Lord of Forbidden Lore. Because the Prince is 180 base, and then you have 10.
Lord of Forbidden Lore is 25, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we get that back, yeah, we'd have 190 points left. I actually don't know whether or not we want to cut the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince is quite good.
Well, I was going to suggest we turn Blue Scribbles back into 3 Enlightened.
Okay. Gives us 210.
210. And then 210 looks to me like 5 Rubric Marines and another Infernal Master.
You're speaking a language that I understand, which is I quite like Rubric Marines plus an Infernal Master. So if we do cut the Demon Prince, right, and we move Lord...
Every time I've played against Thousand Suns in tournaments or, not against, like, you, Jack, the way I've beaten them is basically they have Magnus or they have Terminators or they have both, and they have a lot of other stuff that costs a lot of points, and I kill that other stuff. And in my mind, the more other stuff you have, the more you're reducing that as a win condition.
Yes, I personally quite like maximum rubrics, maximum scare. I remain to be sold on the Terminators. The Terminators are a playstyle where you hit bananas hard.
Like this. Swap scribes to it.
We do have to swap the Scriblios. And we don't have any lone operatives here, which kind of...
2 Enlightened could morph into Changeling.
2 Enlightened could morph into Changeling. I'm not against that. That's actually pretty solid. We start to run out of units that can affect the board.
The Naki Infernal Master could just be Changeling. It's a similar flamer, just a lone op that's not joined.
Yep, let me look at our Cabal points. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19.
Down to 17 again?
Down to 17. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine.
Is there break points with Cabal points?
Not really, because it's more about insulating yourself against taking damage. Right, because if I lose 2 units, suddenly I'm down from 19 to, 13. And then I have enough to continue doing what I want. But if I start at 17 or 15 or something, and I lose 2 units, suddenly I can do 1 ritual a turn,
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I actually quite like this as is.
As is, no Changeling necessary?
I don't think you need a Changeling. I'd probably switch some of these rubrics to Flamers. I really like the Flamers. I think they're quite good.
Flamers.
I prefer the Flamers myself. And I would give the Scarab Cult Terminators, I would give them 2 chain cannons.
Yeah, definitely do that.
I originally...
I like Alona personally, but I also like 3x3 Enlightened. I don't know Thousand Suns well enough to do the side grade between Infernal Master and Changeling. Having a lone up is always really nice, especially for an army that doesn't like being shot. But, it's very...
Yeah, what I would probably do over that, honestly, is I would replace the Rubric Marines. Because we have 3 Infernal Masters and 1 guy who probably wants to be by himself. And we have 3 Rubrics. If we replace the 4th Rubric squad, which would take us to 18, which is not that bad, we replace that with, and maybe the Zangor, that gives us 150.
You could do Scribes and Changeling and get 2 lone ops.
Yeah, let me see how that fits. So if we cut there, make some changes. So if we cut here and we pick up an Infernal Master, the Infernal Master with Arcane Vortex, by the way, is one of the more fun units on the face of the planet.
He is great.
Yeah, that dude. That
gives him +1 damage on his psychics.
It gives him +1 strength and damage.
Strength and damage.
Yeah, he messes people up for sure. So we end up, if we cut 1 squad of Zangor Enlightened, we end up with 165 points, which is the Changeling and the
Scribes.
The Blue Scribes. So that...
Does this army care about ignores cover?
No. If you really need it, you turn off their armor save.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you mean like needing ignores cover?
I mean putting a Burning Chariot in as a consideration to shoot something that ignores cover.
I think that's a one-use ignores cover.
It totally is a one-use ignores cover. It's tougher than you'd think. It is toughness 8 for Binville 9 wounds, which is not... Like, if someone is Magnus and Terminators in the face, they're not shooting a Burning Chariot.
That's true. That's true. I think if you want to do a one-use one, I would probably just go back to having, like, disarm on in.
Yeah.
And I would love if there were points for that. I just don't see it myself.
It's OC3. It also just like bumps around and does stuff. But I'm happy with this as it is. I don't think this needs much more fiddling.
No, this is probably where I would end it. You end up with 18 Cabal points, which is pretty damn good. You have triple Infernal Master in Rubric squads, which I'm just going to...
Change the flamers.
I don't remember, like Soul Flamers or something.
Not Inferno Flamers? That'd be too obvious.
It would, wouldn't it?
Too on the nose.
It would. They are... War Gear options would be Warp Flamers. They're Warp Flamers. They're not Flamers. They're not...
No, they have AP1. It's not a flamer. That's a Warp Flamer. They used to be AP2. Yeah, this list is great. This list scares the crap out of me, actually. I need to play against this.
Yep. I don't think that Thousand Suns are dead. I just think that they are hard to play.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. It's a very tempo control army that can just kill you, but it's super fragile.
Yeah. This list doesn't have a ton of board control, which is probably where... Like, if you wanted to go a different direction, you could cut the Sorcerer, the Terminators, go more MSU and more stuff on the board. And that might be better, or it might not be. 10 Scarab Cult Terminators hits with a force of, 1,000 Suns. Thank you.
We need sound effects.
So I really would be interested to give this a try. But you have double Lone Op to hold objectives.
I love this, Jake. I think it's a really good army.
Stay away from my Thousand Suns. Stay away from my Thousand Suns.
We'll see.
All right.
You're a world player now.
I do want to put this list on the table and see exactly what I need to fiddle with it, because I'm sure there's like some knobs and levers you got to turn with it to make sure it goes right. But I think this is quite strong.
Yeah, definitely a much improved version of what we had before.
Absolutely. All right.
Last list, our Death Guard. Everybody loves Death Guard. Highly coveted. We've got Mr. Morty. This is Unarmed Goat. Excellent name. Mr. Mortarian. He's down to 325. Lord of Virulence.
Oh, I just didn't update.
Yeah. Typhus. 6 Death Shrouds, also 240. Or maybe 250. 3 Death Shrouds, 20 Poxwalkers, 10 Poxwalkers, 10 Poxwalkers, 1, 2, 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, 2 Blight Haulers, 2 Bloat Drones.
I can guarantee you the rest of the list's points are accurate.
Alright, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, a lot of tanky beef over here. A lot of Death Shrouds, a lot of Morty, a lot of big Balarchy. Were there any notes with this one?
So let me see. This is Unarmed Goat, again with a great name.
Excellent name.
That last list means that after this stream, I'm literally going to pull up Thousand Suns and start messing with it. So we've got GT Armed Forces Day is the name. No notes.
No notes. Okay.
No notes. So what do you think this list is trying to go for?
I think it's trying to be beefy. I think it's trying to kill you, probably, with a +1 AP Contagion. It could go for -1 Bliss skill and weapon skill to try to stay alive in the right matchups, but largely speaking, it's trying to kill you. You have Lord of Violence joined to 6 Death Shrouds, which is basically going to synergize really nicely, giving them twin linked on all their flamers. And then he's also going to pick a target for your Plague Burst Crawlers to converge on with all their blast weapons, give it +1 to ignore his cover. Mortarian is synergizing really nicely with those Plague Burst Crawlers, making their indirect not suffer the -1 to hit penalty because he ignores all modifiers. Typhus has got the choice of joining 20 Poxwalkers or 3 Death Shrouds, or even going solo, but probably joins 20 Poxes. 2x10 Poxes to just exist, and then Bloat Runs and Blight Haulers to skirmish vehicle.
Yes. So what this reads to me, personally, you tell me what you think, is that we have a theme here, right? Vehicles.
And Morty. And Terminators.
And some Terminators and some trash.
Yeah.
I feel like this has a couple extraneous units. These 3 Death Shroud Terminators feel... When you have a theme, right? A theme of vehicles, I'm going to be a lot of tough vehicles that are hard for you to deal with. You want to commit fully to that.
I will say, though, Death Shroud Terminators being tough in 6, 2 up, 4 up are vehicle-esque in durability. The types of weapons you shoot vehicles are the same weapons you shoot Terminators with.
That's true. That being said, I do feel like those Death Shroud Terminators, the 3-man, the 6-man with the Lord of Virulence, I don't want to touch. But the 3-man Death Shroud, I feel like they want to turn into 25 points in a Fetid Bloat Drone.
I could see that. I'm not sold on Blight Haulers as valuable vehicles. And to me, they're fine. They shoot a missile launcher and a multi-melted. They have a profile. That's basically what they do for 100 points. I don't think that's particularly fantastic.
That's true. I don't love my Fennec Blight Haulers. I like Bloat Drones. I like Plague Crawlers. I don't love...
Yeah, I was going to say the
Blight
Blight Haulers become a third Bloat Drone and become the almost all of the next 3 Death Shrouds to bump that up to a 6-man.
I can 100% go in that direction, for sure. That was actually when you started talking about how you didn't like the Blight Haulers. I was like, oh, we could just turn one into a Bloat Drone and go back and try and make those Death Shroud better.
Yes. So instead of cutting the Terminators and leaning more into vehicles, I think we lean into the more efficient vehicles and then more into the Terminator. One thing we're going to have to be mindful of is that the Death Guard characters are phenomenal for points for value, but Death Guard do also have phenomenal points for value vehicles, and if you take both, you bring it down to Assassinate, and that's still a set of issues.
We do have 3 characters, which gives a fixed Assassinate of 12.
We're not giving up Assassinate yet. I think.
I see.
I think if we add 3 biology professors, we're doing it.
Biologist Putrefires, yes.
Yeah. Which, to me, they're amazing, but I always get to this point in Death Guard and I have to make the choice.
Yes, you definitely don't want to give up a fixed 6 on each of those. That would be bad.
Yeah.
I like the characters we have. How good are... Talk to me about Typhus plus Poxwalkers. Is this a good unit?
I have been very disappointed with it. I thought Typhus... I tried twice now. Typhus Storm the Poxwalkers, I typically always outflank it because it's move 4. You could use it as like a screen maybe against orcs or something.
You rapid ingress it in my deployment zone.
You have to remember you can't do that on turn 2. But aside from that, I think it's a little limited in where it can show up. Because it's strategic reserves, it's slow to the point of like someone can just walk away from it. And while it's super powerful, if someone's like chips your Poxwalkers, you just keep damaging them endlessly with Typhus and the heal. For a 200-point unit, it is not so durable that someone can't just kill the 20 Poxwalkers and then just leave Typhus on his own.
I know Quentin was pretty impressed with Typhus by himself.
I like Typhus by himself, but I feel like it would be not the best value to have Typhus not join the Death Shrouds, because then you get the -1 to wound, and while it's not 2 units Typhus skirmish as well, he does just make those Death Shrouds that much more.
It's -1 to hit, right?
No, Death Shrouds benefit from -1 to wound if your strength is high.
Oh, and they have a character?
If they have a character.
So are you thinking, what I think you're thinking, are you thinking those 20 Poxwalkers turn into the remaining amount of points we need to make the Death Shrouds work, and then I'm going to go out on a serious limb here and say 2 units of Nurglings?
You are reading my mind. You really are.
Yeah.
You really be reading.
So what we're saying here is 20 Poxwalkers makes this...
It's last 25 points 75 points necessary. 25 points necessary to get that to a 6-man. And then we have a floating 75, which...
Let's just go grab that.
Into 3 Nurglings. Twice.
Okay. Let me get you the points on that, but that looks about right to me in terms of what we can fit in 2000.
Yeah.
And then we can look and see if there's any changes we'd like to make there.
Right.
So we cut the big unit epoxies, but we still have the smaller units for our deployment zone. Yeah, this will leave us with 10 points left, which I don't think, A, we can do anything with, and B, we want to. I mean, is there an enhancement we can put on the homie?
Side grade Poxwalkers to Cultists. I think I would do that at least once to get 1 unit Scout. After that, I'm trying to think if there's any changes I'd like to make.
Scout's pretty good. Is it the same points cost, or is it...
I think it's 50 to 50, yeah. Cultists might be 55 in Death Guard. I think they're 50.
I know they are 60 in Thousand Suns.
55 in CSM.
50 straight up, so it's just a straight swap.
Straight swap. I don't really rate Poxwalkers as doing anything. I don't really rate Cultists as doing anything. I just think Scout is worth taking.
Yeah, Scout over... What do Poxwalkers have? Like 2 inches less movement.
5 feel of pain? 5 feel of pain. That's like combat, I guess.
Yeah, 5 of feel no pain, no save, but toughness 4.
Yeah.
So they are significantly tougher. It might be that we want 1 unit to hold our backfield objective and 1 unit to scout forward.
Well, we have how many points left at this moment?
We have 10.
We have 10.
10. So this list right here, we have 10 points.
Okay.
The droning is awful. That's 10-point enhancement. It is when you fail a battle shock test, most of the time you take a mortal.
No, it's not the droning. What it could be, though, is...
I looked.
10 Poxwalkers become 10 Cultists, 10 Poxwalkers become 3 Nurglings, and then we have we have 25 left. And the reason to do that is because if we're just going to put the Poxwalkers on our backfield and say forget about it, we might as well sticky it and do it with 3 Nurglings and save 20 points.
That's true. I mean, the screens are definitely wider, but it's probably fine.
3 Nurglings typically gets your corner done, but...
Yeah. Especially if you have 10 cultists on your like natural expansion objective.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gets us a decent amount of...
You should have 25 floating here. Which I don't know the Death Guard enhancements super well off the top of my head.
Let me go through them with you, because we have 1 Lord of Virulence. This could turn into 2 Lords of Virulence instead of Typhus.
Super side grade, yeah.
Very side grady. So we can afford any of them. We've got Living Plague, which is +3 to the bear's aura abilities. Mm-hmm. We've got Deadly Pathogen, which is +1 strength and attacks to their melee weapons. And then if it's a Tuesday and your opponent has a beard, while the bear is within range of an infected objective marker you control, add 2 to the strength and attacks characteristic of the bear's melee weapons. That model has to be on an infected objective marker fighting an enemy that has not taken it away.
Fighting it... Well, it wouldn't be taken away, right? Because you're on an infected objective. So basically you're holding an objective, is the stipulation for this.
But you have to have been on it the previous turn.
I see, because it's not infected until your command phase.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And then Shamble Rot, which is every time they're... Oh, this is probably just the one you take.
This is my...
Each time the bear's unit selects its target of an enemy unit's charge, they're -2 charge rolls, which is just it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what enhancements are for, right?
I mean, Shamble Rot is gross.
I wish we could find 10 more points and enhance the Shamble Rot into 3 more Nurglings, but...
What?
Yeah.
Shamble Rot's gross, man.
Shamble Rot's great, but...
So,
people don't really charge Death Shrouds too often.
Well, now they definitely won't. What is your opinion on Typhus versus a second Lord of Virulence?
Typhus is probably better. He does mortals, which is like a damage that this army kind of wants. He's better in close combat, so you have like a shooting unit and a combat unit for when you want to apply both. Twin Linked is great. You don't need his ability to see something for blast weapons twice. It's really just Twin Linked as opposed to combat capability plus mortals. And -1 to hit in close combat as well.
Which is very good.
It also opens up, like, in a combat match, you can reasonably take -1 weapon skill, ballistic skill, stack -1 in Typhus, and then that Death Shroud unit walks around and just is super hard to deal with.
Yep, especially after you've gutted them with pistols.
And then you have access to the -1
Overwatch.
damage strat. You can really just run combat matchups with those 2 units.
Yeah, I quite like this. This has everything I want. Now, would I want a little bit more in here? Of course, you always do. But you end up with 3 very good... vehicles. Mm-hmm. 6 very good vehicles. 2 units of 3 of them. 2 groups of 3. 3 Nurglings to solve your holding your sticky home field objective issues and go do secondaries. You got 10 cultists to scout up and go hold an objective. And we've got 2 big bricks of Death Shroud Terminators plus Mortarion. I mean, what more are you going to ask for?
So I'm also sold on this list. I don't really want to change it. But I've been having a thought, Jack, and I want to probe your brain on it. I'm not sure if it's fit right for this list, but in general.
Sure.
What do you think of Beasts of Nurgle? Solo Beasts of Nurgle. 70 points, toughness 9, 7 wounds, 5 of Pinful, anemic damage, although it is mortal. It is death wounds, so like you can get lucky. What they do is they heal at the end of any phase where they weren't killed. So if 7 wound model, toughness 9, 5 Pinful, you do 6 damage to it, right back to full. So you're not chipping this thing away. You have to commit to it. No one wants to commit to that when there's Death Shrouds, Blood Drones, and Plague Burst Crawlers. Unlike a Nurgling, it is OC2. So, same concept as 2x3 Nurglings. It is 1 unit, not 2 units, but it actually holds an objective.
I think that's a good plan. I don't think it has a place here, as you said, because it's I feel like those... Yeah. So we could melt down 2 Nurglings and turn them into a Beast of Nurgle,
That's always something I look at.
But the Nurglings here are doing something a Beast of Nurgle can't do, which is... just be in 2 places to deep strike on objective. Yeah. To deep strike, not on objectives, but just to deep strike and do secondaries.
Yeah.
Right? And a Beast of Nurgle can deep strike and do a secondary 1 time. I don't think that's something we're looking for.
No. What I like that Beast of Nurgle do that Nurglings don't do is that they can cleanse. So what you can do is park Beast of Nurgle on objectives and just cleanse. Now Nurglings could cleanse, but they're not holding the objective, of course, so like...
Yeah, they do need somebody to drive by, swipe the objective.
Yeah, so specifically if you want to make the Death Guard plan fixed here, because I think Death Guard maybe not the most tactical army. Like you draw investigate signals and no one's doing it besides these Nurglings. But that's why you have Nurglings.
That's why you have Nurglings.
Yeah, probably not the place, but something I thought of.
I do think it's a good unit, though. Mm-hmm. I don't think it belongs right here, but you know where it could belong, honestly?
Where's that?
Is in that Rhino Rush Death Guard build.
Yeah.
Where they're just looking
yeah.
to take as many dudes and as many vehicles as possible. You know, take 3x1 Beast of Nurgle as well and just rock them around the battlefield.
Rock them around, yeah.
You know, who has time to deal with that when there's, 6 rhinos full of...
Nobody. And they just do
mans.
your actions.
Yeah.
And you throw one out there, you don't care what happens to it the same way you care what happens to 5 Plague Marines, because those are also your objective holders.
And it also gets the benefit of the minus weapon skill ballistic skill by any nearby units, and then can, hit the breakpoint of not dying and heal back to full.
Yeah. Hitting the breakpoint and not dying is really important here.
I actually think 3x1 Beast of Nurgle in that list is quite solid.
I'm going to go build a Death Guard list, Jack, after this. Let's do it. You build thousands, I'll build Death Guard.
And then we can play them into each other and see what happens.
You're going to be killing me, and I'm going to be holding objectives.
Deal.
Sounds like a Jack and Nick game.
All right, so that is us for today. We do have some super chats, or one super chat here. We want to cover before we dip out for the day. We've got Dread Clown with a $5 super chat. 440 for 4 Cabal points, a sub Forge Fiend gun, and a 6-inch buff. I better get some Slanesh treatment too if you catch my drift. I legally don't catch your drift. But also, are you coming after Magnus? What the hell is this? 440 is Magnus, for the record.
And in Australia, I know the top Australian players that are messing with Thousand Suns are just not running Magnus these days. They're running stuff instead.
I'm going to be real with you, my dude. It's not a sub Forge Fiend gun when you reroll hits and wounds and have +1 to hit and +1 to wound and dev wounds and potentially sustained hits. That's better. It is also wildly more durable because you can also use the Blanca save on Psyker models and reroll saves, so you can reroll saves anyway. 2-up, 4-up as opposed to a 3-up, 5-up. In addition, you are toughness 11, and it's just not the same unit, and you can't compare them straight up that way. Because like a Forge Fiend at 135 does not reroll hits and wounds and have +1 to hit, +1 to wound.
There's definitely a logical fallacy that's like, Magnus is basically a Forge Fiend if you squint your eyes and look at it really hard and like, just don't do that. Look at it like it's Magnus.
Yeah, a Forge Fiend also can't move 32 inches in one turn and then shoot. He does enough. First off, Magnus does a lot of damage. Like, that's just not
Nonetheless, we appreciate your super chat.
We love your super chat.
And then we got Relic Scump in here for $2 with a have a good day, everybody. You too, Relic. We appreciate you. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment letting us know what you think. Don't forget to check out that Discord and that Warm membership, the warm.vhx.tv, right in the description. That'll get you a 3-day free trial. And with that, you can even submit your list for future Fix My List videos.
Absolutely. All right, we will see you. We'll see you tomorrow. Where who's doing the build list?
I don't know. Somebody's building a list tomorrow. Do the schedule.
I figured the person who wrote the schedule would know.
Jack, I know nothing. I see.
You're correct. All right, build a list. It's me and John building a Space Marine
I assume the person who would be building the list would know.
Clearly you're wrong.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.